On this episode of Midrounds of Madness, it's a series where I try to find those value picks in the middle rounds of fantasy. We're going to be looking at Diontae Johnson, who's been probably one of the more difficult players to project. Let's start with the bad. He didn't score a single touchdown last season. The Steelers are an absolute dumpster fire on offense, and we don't know if they're going to get any better this year. Opportunity must be met with production at some point. I mean, he hasn't been producing like he should with the same opportunity he's had. And lastly, he's just one of those guys who looks like he gets a season-ending injury anytime he touches the ball. He'll go down, grab his knee at least 3 times per game. It's fucking brutal. Now let's get to some of the good. He had 147 targets last season. If he can keep that up, that's good news. He had his highest average depth of target of 10.7 yards, which means he's getting a lot more targets down the field, which gives him the ability to score longer touchdowns and to make bigger plays. And Kenny Pickett should be better. At least we hope he should be going into his second season. Just keep in mind, he did have one of the lowest touchdown rates since the Super Bowl era has started. And lastly, PFF rates him pretty well in most receiving categories. And we know he's just one of the best route runners in the NFL. And here are 2 situations that actually draft Diontae Johnson. Number 1, you have high ceiling boomer bust players already on your roster. You need maybe some depth, maybe some consistency to round out your roster to make sure you get points every week. And the second situation is you drafted 1 or even 2 like stud or top wide receivers early in the draft, and you're looking for like a third guy to just round out your wide receiver stable. Diontae Johnson would be like that perfect wide receiver 3 for me. So overall, I think he has a solid floor. And he actually has a pretty decent chance for some positive regression, especially if he scores a couple more touchdowns, man. I mean, 0, it's hard to, you can only go up from there, right? And if you could survive those heart attacks of him getting injured almost every game and just bear to watch the Steelers offense in general, I would give him a look. But just one last thing, guys. If you see Treylon Burks or Jahan Dotson still on the board, take them before you take Diontae Johnson.